Beyond the basics of the Merchant Marine. Today we're going to look into some things about the Merchant Marine that most people just don't know about. So if you're looking to get into this industry, I'll go into detail about certain things that will help you in your maritime journey. And if you want help in your maritime journey and you want to meet mariners from around the world, join my community, Sailors Connect, link in description. All right, let's jump right into this. We're going to first start off with talking about different types of jobs, and I'm going to talk directly from the SIU, the union that I am in, the Seafarers International Union. When you walk into a hall and you're going to pick out a job, you're looking at the job board, you see a few different types of options. You see a job that will be titled a rotary job. You'll see a job that will be typed a permanent job, and then you'll see a job that will be typed as a relief job. So what this means, a rotary job, that is a job in the union where you sign a contract. Usually for the standard contract, you will sign on a rotary first 120 days. So you go onto this ship for 120 days and work. Then you will get off that ship for 60 days. And then after those 60 days of your vacation are up, you will go back on that ship again to work another 120 days, and then you will have completed the contract of that rotary on that specific job. So when you sign the contract on a rotary, specifically in the union, you are signing for an 8-month job opportunity with a 2-month break in between. You'll work for 4 months, be off for 2 months, and then go back for 4 months. They do this because they want equal chance for everyone in the union. They don't want every job to be a permanent because they would have less jobs on the board. They want it to be a rotating door. You work on this ship for so long, give you a good opportunity, then the next guy will have a good opportunity on that ship as well. It's a pretty good system. It works, and it gives you a very nice opportunity to learn a lot and to jump from various different types of ships. Like I've been on cable ships, tankers, containers, ro-ros, all different types of ships because of the opportunities that the union gives me on not just settling down on a one single type of ship as a permanent job, which goes into the next one. Permanent, that's pretty self-explanatory. Permanent job is when you get onto a ship, you sign onto that ship, and you will stay on that ship. That will be your job, just like anyone else's job. Anytime you go off the ship and you report back to that ship, it will always be the same ship. You basically don't even need to go to the hull anymore. You just get off, sign off your ship, get the discharge, go home, enjoy yourself, and get right back on. Deal with the company itself, deal with the captain itself. Just kind of get into rotation with that specific ship. Union aside, you don't need to go into the hall. You don't need to deal with the union hall or waiting for another job. You just get into the rotation with this permanent job. Now, for a relief job, this is the job, the guy who fills in for that 2-month break that a rotary guy's going on, that 2-month of vacation he's on, that's where the relief guy comes in. So say you're on a rotary and you work for 4 months, then you go home for 2 months, the relief guy comes in and he's the guy who works those 2 months. Now, I know plenty of guys who only work relief jobs. They will see a job that needs a relief job, work the 2 months, 3 months, whatever it may be for the relief, and then they will go and do another ship, and then another ship, and he'll just jump around doing relief jobs forever because he or she doesn't want to do those long extended contracts on a rotary job. It would be the 4 months, sometimes get stuck to 5 months or 6 months if you can't get a relief. So they don't want to have to get the fear of that or the commitment to that. So they'll just jump to relief jobs. It's a lot simpler. You're not there to impress anybody. You just jump in, do your job. A month and a half, 2 months later, 3 months later, you're already off, you're already going home. And you're not stuck in any type of routine. You just go in, do that job, leave, go do another one. It's a pretty nice life. There are plenty of sailors who do it. Either way, rotary, permanent, relief job, they're all good options, and it's good to have the choice and the opportunity to choose what you want. Now I'm going to go into another thing that does specifically have to do with the union. It is the vacation check. The vacation check varies for every ship and every contract. So a vacation check is, once say you are working on the rotary job, your 4 months are up and you go home for those 2 months, you are going to be given a vacation check. That vacation check may be calculated in a way such as 15 of your days worked will go to your vacation check. But it's not just 15 of your days worked directly. This is when it gets a little confusing. So when it comes to your pay as a merchant mariner, you are given a base pay, your daily base pay, or your weekly base pay, whatever it may be. That is cut into the 15 days worked. Say it's a daily base pay. That daily base pay will be 15 days of that daily base pay. That will be your vacation check. No overtime included. So working on a ship, most of your money comes from your overtime. You're working over 80 hours, sometimes 80 hours a week, lots of hours. Most of your pay is coming from your overtime. So your vacation check is going to be 15 days worth of your daily base wage. Now, some contracts do 16 for 30 or 14 for 30, which would be 14 of your daily base pay will go to your vacation check, and that is per month. So say you worked for 4 months on it as a rotary. Each month you are getting the 15 for 30, 15 days of your base wage each month is going towards your vacation check. Okay? I hope everyone understands that, because sometimes it fucking confuses me too. But every ship and every contract is different. It could be 16 for 30, it could be 14 for 30, like I said. But then there's a whole nother angle to it. There are certain ships that will have a set amount that they will give you per day worked towards your vacation check. So just for an example, if I worked for 30 days and my vacation check day wage was $60, so every day worked, I was getting $60 towards my vacation check. That's a little easier to understand, especially if you don't have the numbers right in front of you when it comes to the vacation check. But it is definitely, no matter which way you go, whatever the contract may be, it's a nice paycheck to get when you're off. Now, you can let it sit up to, I believe it's 15 months. I believe you can let that sit up to 15 months. So if you work 8 months out of the year, you don't have to collect that vacation check right away. You can let it sit for up to 15 months and then collect a big vacation check at the end of the year. Lots of people do that. I preferably like to get my vacation check every single time I get right off the ship. As soon as I get off the ship, I want my vacation check. In the union, to get your vacation check, you always need to bring to the union hall your discharge paper. Your discharge is an official document stating, signed by the captain, stating you leaving the vessel officially. That is a very important piece of paper. You never get rid of that paper. That is basically the only proof that you ever worked on that ship. So I have every single discharge, and I will always have those discharges. For any time I want to advance in this career, I need to prove to the Coast Guard that I worked on those ships for so many days. Got to give them my discharge. So when you get your vacation check, bring your discharge, and you need to bring your pay slips for the ship. Every pay slip. So, pain in the ass. When I've worked on a ship for 6 months, I needed 6 months worth of pay slips to hand into them. It was about this thick of paper. You get a pay slip every week, sometimes every 2 weeks. Do the math. I don't want to. That's a lot of pieces of paper. But you need to bring the pay slips and the discharge to receive your vacation check. Very important piece of paper. Don't ever get rid of them. Specifically the discharge. So important for advancing in your career and just everything in the maritime industry. Your discharge is everything. I'm gonna briefly jump into this next topic here. It's kind of pretty interesting one. I know a little bit about it. I learn more about it every once in a while. The Ready Reserve ships, or the Ready Reserve fleet, as a merchant mariner. These are ships that basically sit and wait for war times, but they always need to be manned, so the jobs are there. And the jobs are easy, and they pay pretty well. So you get on this ship, it basically sits at dock the whole time, but every once in a while, maybe once or twice a year, you go take it out, make sure everything's running well. Pretty simple stuff. Now, the cool thing with these Ready Reserve ships is there are multiple options when it comes to that. You can, I know people who have done this, you can have a permanent job on a Ready Reserve ship. If you're not into sailing and you're not really into looking to advance in your career with the sea time needed to be as a watchstander or anything, you just want to be a day worker, you just want to go to a job, do whatever, and go home. I know plenty of people who live right near a dock. They ride their bike to this Ready Reserve ship that remains moored for most of the year. You work on the ship for the day and then they go home at night. Not a bad gig. It really isn't. It's basically just a normal job. I don't even know if they're working 12-hour days. They might be working 8-hour days. I heard some people are off on the weekends. So it's basically just a normal job. Just ride up to the dock, do what you got to do, and leave. There's the permanent aspect of it. But then there's the other aspect of it where you could just get on there for like 10 days. I almost went onto a ship. I kind of wish I did. For just a 10-day hitch, basically. Just go on when I was at the dock, work for 10 days, and that would have been it. That would have been the whole contract. Would have made like 3-4 grand in 10 days, just doing absolutely nothing. Awesome. You know, that not many people talk about that. That's kind of like a hidden aspect of this job in this union because it's very desirable, and the people who do it don't want other people to know about it. They want it very closed in. They want to tell specific people and just word of mouth type shit. But I'm here to spoil all the fun. Ready Reserve ships, or ROS ships, are awesome opportunities. ROS is reduced operating status of the ship, so it's not at its full capacity. It's just hanging out there, getting ready for wartime. They have to be manned and just get ready to go. Awesome opportunity, pays well. Highly recommend looking into it if that's your thing. If you want to sail, go right ahead. But if you're kind of a homebody, but you still love the industry, you want to work on ships, this isn't a bad way to do it. And if you're also kind of just want to get your feet in the water, but you're not really committed to those long trips yet, getting a 10-day trip, getting on a trip for 10 days to test it out, not a bad way to do it. I've seen a few opportunities about this. This is when you get into the union, you have to ask about it directly. You say, hey, once you get a good name in the union hall, you should say, anytime you see an RS opportunity available, 10 days, whatever, permanent, whatever, call me. Call me back as soon as you see it. Call me. I'll be ready. They'll call you. If you have a good name with them, you got a good thing going on with them, they'll call you when the opportunity. Okay, this next one I'm going to keep very brief because this is just an endless, for me personally, an endless fusion, endless questions. Anytime think I'm getting one way, I get pushed another way. This is when it comes to sea time. And to most people, it may seem easy. To very experienced people, it may seem easier. But to me, I get a little confused sometimes. When it comes to the sea time, it is the most important thing for your advancement, and which is what I'm always looking towards, because I'm trying to advance in this career. So I want to know I'm getting my proper sea time. I work on unlimited tonnage vessels. These are the big boy ships. These are very specific when it comes to the required sea time to advance on these ships. So what I mean by that is the sea time I get from working on a tugboat does not correlate with the sea time I would get from one of these big ships. A captain on a tugboat cannot be a captain on an unlimited tonnage vessel on a big ship. it is not the same thing. Getting even more specific with it. An unlimited tonnage vessel that stays moored all the time, that is at dry dock, which is when a ship gets out of the water and goes under repair, any type of maintenance that needs to be done. If a ship is primarily in dry dock for an extended period of time, or for on your hitch, or moored for an extended period of time, or on your hitch, that sea time is not the same as if you are sailing around the world. If you get on a ship and you get the shit end of the stick and you are under dry dock the entire time, you're missing out on specific sea days, which kind of sucks. And if you're moored the entire time, you're missing out on the specific sea days. Now, I only learned that pretty recently. On my last ship, I got into a long conversation with a mate on my watch, and he was telling me about how his buddy was on an ROS ship, ready reserve ship, trying to gain his sea time to advance in his career, only to hand in his paperwork to the Coast Guard and for them to tell him that he wasn't ready because he didn't have the proper sea time, because he was moored the entire time. He never really went out to sea and never sailed. That is a huge disappointment and a huge waste of time. If you are spending all that time on a ship, you're making that money, you're getting sea time, but it is not the right sea time. It is not the best sea time for what you want. So if you want to be on an unlimited tonnage vessel, if you want to be a captain on an unlimited tonnage vessel, a big ship, you want to be captain of a big ship, make sure you're always sailing on those big ships. And I mean sailing. You're constantly moving. That's how you advance. Let me dive deeper into another section of sea time. If you are on a ship that is intercoastal, say like an ATB, those ships sometimes be under a 2-watch system. This is basically meaning you're on watch for like a 12-hour time period. You're not really on watch for a 12-hour time period. You're just working for 12 hours straight. Now, because of that, because you're intercoastal, because you're on a 2-watch system, you are getting 2 sea days for every 1 worked. So when you work 1 day, on paper, you have worked 2. Now that's freaking awesome. I have no idea why they do that. There definitely is a reason. I have no idea personally myself. I don't know who wrote that down in the book long ago, but it's freaking cool. Every day worked, you will get 2 sea days. Now that is just for intercoastal, usually a smaller vessel, because these unlimited tonnage vessels, they're usually going through their own guidelines, going through their own systems, usually on a 1-watch system. And they usually will have 1 day worked for 1 day worked for 1 sea day, which is very normal, very understandable. So you really have to consider what type of ship you want to work on and what type of sea days you are getting to advance in that type of work. So if you work on tugs and you always want to work on tugs, there you go. If you're on an ATB and you always want to work on an ATB, there you go. But if you work on tugs and you want to eventually be the captain of an unlimited tonnage vessel, get off the freaking tug, get on the big boy ships, and work. Get those sea days, because that is the only way to advance in that specific job. The sea days will affect you greatly. Now, that was a very, very, very brief description of sea time. But the importance of sea time, I cannot tell you enough how important that is. Your discharge paperwork is the only proof of your sea time. That is the only way you can advance at all. So make sure you are holding on to those discharges, calculating your sea time properly for your advancement in your career. And if you need any help with your advancement as a merchant mariner and want to work with me personally and meet mariners from around the world, join my community, Sailors Connect, link in description. And for the next one, you have to make sure the school you are getting your STCWs through are Coast Guard approved. I know people who have paid out of pocket to get their STCW classes done or to get further education after already being in the industry, paying out of pocket, going through the class, just to realize that the Coast Guard does not recognize that facility as an official place to get Coast Guard approved credentials. So they paid $1,500, whatever amount it is, for these certain classes for a piece of paper that doesn't allow you to get on a ship at all. So make sure you are going to the proper Coast Guard approved facilities. If you are going that route, make sure the Coast Guard recognizes them as perfect maritime industry approved program to get those proper credentials that get you on a ship and start making that money. Look out for it, because you don't want to waste your money or waste your time. You want the quickest, most efficient route to getting on the ship and becoming a mariner. So you can see me out there and let's sail on.